フルカウンター
Alright, so 2021 has ended around 35 days ago now, but I still want to get this video out and kind of do a recap of the worst updates from last year in Grand Cross. And you'll be surprised, before we actually get into it, comment down below what you think is first. I'm pretty sure most of you lot can get it, but I'm kind of surprised if a lot of you lot do remember it, because it was quite a terrible update. Probably the worst thing it's ever done. But before we do that, I gotta say in every single video now, boys, if you're new, subscribe. I know a lot of you lot right now are probably watching this video and you aren't subscribed, around 72% I think it was. So if you're new, just subscribe. It matters. Well, it is free and you can change your mind later on. I know everyone says it, but it does mean a lot. Alright, so this might be higher on some people's list, but at number 10 we do have the Double Fest banner. That is Margaret and Cusack. So this update, the characters themselves weren't bad. I mean, they were decent characters, but the timing was just terrible. Firstly, we got Margaret, which was a mediocre character at best, basically a very situational unit, and then he ended up buffing her, which typically netmarble doesn't do, so he definitely saw some cash drop there probably. And then with the update, he also announced that the fact they're going to get a new festival next week, a part of the Demon Clan, and it was Cusack, which in itself is kind of an L. I don't mind Cusack as a character, but not base Cusack. Demon Cusack, fair enough, but not the base one. It was a terrible update. She should have been on the banner with Margaret, and that would have just fixed it, but one of the worst updates in terms of timing, like, just shocking. So at number 9, we kind of have a JP exclusive to where they didn't even bother releasing it in global because it was such a bad update. We have the Holy Relic bundles. Now, I do believe they are out right now on global, but you could only buy them one time. But on JP, on release, you could buy them, I believe, multiple times if you are a mega whale. And, well, it just separated the whales from the free-to-place if the gap wasn't already enough. Not to mention the bird didn't have that many good units, or it was even harder as well. So it was almost impossible to get a relic for a free-to-play. But yeah, not really too much to say about this one. You can buy it right now for one, but the bird is kind of a joke right now, so it's not the worst. But you can imagine on release, on JP, it was just an absolute sham. And especially to reach Barn as well. And Barn was a whole thing which we'll get into later on. Alright, so next at number 8, this is not the worst one, but it kind of is. It's the actual new banner. So we thought that there was going to be festivals throughout the whole month, basically, on the banner, but it made it so it's only 2 days. And then also, I think in the mid-month we get some seasonal characters. I think at the end of the month we get an actual some limited OCs. And like the whole idea of like having 2 days of sun for a character isn't great. And not to mention they're not on the banner as well. Only when they're there for 3 days. If the festivals were in this banner and had a really low rate, but in a certain time of the month they had a rate top, that'll be fine, because then you can try and summon for them, and that would be kind of a decent way to summon on this banner, because you've got some more, like, there's no pity, there's no guarantees apart from like failing 5 summons. Overall, it's kind of an L. Like, it would have been alright if we thought what we thought it was and they had the festival on the banner, but or even if it lasted a month. Like, 2 days is not enough, man. It's a terrible update. But I would say, in case you're confused, I actually like this one. They give us basically more tickets, and they also have part 3 knits now with Sario and Chandler. So, yeah, I do like this banner, just not this one. Number 7, we have Tower of Trials. Now, obviously, right now, it looks kind of decent. We've gotten quite a few of them. And, well, we had a reset too, so it's been quite decent. But at the start of the year, and to be fair, even now, you still probably prefer the old Tower of Trials, where you had 25 stages. There's kind of gimmicks to it. It was quite fun to go through in live streams. They're quite fun to play. And, to be fair, we have it right now, actually. We have the OG one right now on Global, and look how much rewards you get. Like, imagine just getting this monthly. And I think, okay, so this is a little bit different, because it's the OC one. But the actual original one, you got like 30 diamonds, you got so much resources every month or so, and it was so much better. Not to mention, I think Global skips some too, so yeah, Global Shaft is real. Number 6, we have Stringy Things. Nothing much to say about this one. It was just a terrible update. The characters were bad. Even on release and even now, just terrible units. I don't mind them doing something that one anime. Like, there's a lot of Netflix shows that aren't anime that I don't mind getting, like Arcane, Umbrella Academy, Money Heist, for example. But Stringy Things, I like this series, but in the game, the character-wise, like, just how they released and just the model they did with 0.25 rate, with ReZero the week afterwards, it was just a terrible update. And yeah, one of the worst ones. Okay, so top 5, now we have Ragnarok. Now, this one is probably a bit subjective, so let me explain. Alright, so Ragnarok was really hype, and a lot of people enjoyed it. To be fair, I enjoyed the story mode as well, but the hype wasn't there. In terms of people caring about the story, no one cares about it. It's just something people do every month, basically, to get the free 30 diamonds. The characters they released as well weren't too great, because they're all so niche. Brunhild and Magelda, which I don't mind their characters, but they're only made for the bird and don't work in PvP, which is annoying. Fallen was made for Belmoth, which once again is fine, like, people use her, and she's great in the sub slot, but once again, kind of annoying, but she was free. Sigurd's the only one that's usable in PvP, and now we have the new giant one, which fair enough is usable in PvP, but a niche to where she counters up the Kyo meta. So once Kyo's gone, she's kind of gone too. And not to mention the actual Ragnarok sins haven't been too great either, or just been worse versions of the actual predecessor. So the blue Lost Flame is worse than the red one, the green Merlin is worse than the blue one. But Diane, fair enough, it was a new Diane, and she actually is quite good, but you never know. The blue or red one might be better than the green one, which I'll be surprised about, because the green one's really good. Alright, so obviously Ragnarok was high, but I think what really ruined it as well was the relics. Now, you may disagree with me here, but the whole idea, to me at least, was to buff up the old characters. So, you would have thought the old character would have gotten better relics, like Easton, you know, Valenti. Roxy, to be fair, got a good one, but, you know, it is what it is. But, like, you know, Gilthunder, you know, the old characters, Hauser, Lilia, you know, the normal Merlin, they got decent ones, but the standout ones, like, are the top tier ones, like Merlin, for example, who's already top tier. Barn got basically the best relic for him, and he's already top tier. So when that meta came, that was just terrible. Arthur as well got a relic, it was just top tier too. I kind of wish they made the relics for the old character a lot better. Pretty much the only good one that someone got was Lilia, but she was terrible, but then boom, she got that actual 50% relic, and then we realized, wait, yo, this is actually kind of an OP relic, and if we do get a better Lilia, then she can be OP, and boom, we got the blue one, and boom, she's one of the best characters in the game now, probably one of the best in PvP. But also, kind of a tiny made thing right now, the meta is kind of shifted towards relics, so if your character doesn't have a relic, you're going to get RC. But I would say one of the biggest problems is the relics do give stats. They cannot act like a 6th weapon, and well, if you look at the top tier characters, Lilia, you know, Summer, Merlin, Escanor, Barn, all the good characters, they all have relics, unless you're traitor Mediodas, but all the top tiers have relics now, and it's becoming important to where your character might not even be usable nowadays just because you don't have a relic, just to get the extra CC. Alright, so at number 4 we do have Sleep Awakening. Now the reason why I say this is a bad update was the gap between 5 and 6 was so quick, man. I mean, people were still just getting used to SA5 and then boom, they dropped SA6. To kind of put into comparison, we got Lolly Merlin basically when SA5 came out, and then when we got SA6, Lolly Merlin still hadn't even returned yet, so the gap was really, really quick. And also, they kind of mugged it where they gave us the same amount of resources as they did when they gave us SA5. They gave us around 100. They did buff it to 140, but they should have gave 200. Like, we were still getting used to SA5, and it was just a terrible update, and, you know, I'm still getting used to it. I mean, look at my box right now. I'm still, you know, I've done a few, fair enough, and, you know, I'm getting there, but it's not as bad now. But if you're a new player and you're just getting around to doing it, it's like we didn't need Super Awakening in the first place. But if you're not keeping up to date and playing the game religiously, you were kind of behind, and people are still probably struggling now if you weren't playing every day. Number 3, this was a given. It is Purgatory Bond. This guy was just broken. He was honestly, this is what I think it was. Too much HP, and also the fact that he had great debuffs. Just no way to counter him. It's a terrible unit in terms of like just ruining the game. Literally, he made Seaton quit. So that already shows enough. A lot of people quit around this time, and not to mention we did get relics afterwards to where they buff Barn again, and the Barn meta was just so stale. It went up for like a few months, and it was probably the lowest time for Grand Cross, not gonna lie, and people were quitting the game. People probably quit the game because of him, and yeah, not really too much to say about him. He just ruined the game, and just a terrible update. Alright, so number 2, we have the actual dungeon key removals. Basically, we get this every week on Global. I could be wrong because I don't pay attention too much now, but I think every week now they rotate. So we get this week, then we get the Training Grotto next week, and we get this the next week again. So every 2 weeks we get it, which is fine. It's not as bad, but what they tried doing was basically removing this completely and giving us an actual Training Grotto. And while they haven't released the Training Grotto update yet, it's not bad if you're trying to get the healing card set for the Training Grotto, which I've still not gotten yet, so I don't mind getting the Training Grotto key. But to get this, where we get like around 24 actual Super Awakening coins every week, which was when they released Space Super Awakening 5 and 6, and to remove it to give us a Training Grotto with no update, which is one of the worst updates, and literally people were just thinking, nah, like this is it, I'm done now. This one, like they just keep on, they're just ruining the game, and they've now fixed it at least, but yeah, that was such a really low point as well for Grand Cross. And to wrap it up at number 1, I'm sure most of you will probably comment this, and that is removing festivals or festival banners. Literally the worst update I could ever think of, and I couldn't even comprehend what they were doing when they did it. And it kind of brought back the bring back old fest movement. Essentially what they did was they were going to make it so, well, it was only Mediodas on the banner, and instead increases rate to 0.5 rather than 0.2, and also released an actual side character, which at the time, which was festival to Gopher and Hauser, who had both had 0.5 rate, which was just a massive slap in the face because, well, they've done 0.5 festivals in the past. Look at Wing King's banner. Him and Henderson both had 0.5 rate with old festivals. So you've already done that format. So to use the excuse of increasing rates for festivals, but then to remove the old festivals was like it was such a mug and a piss take. So yes, it might have been good for Worlds because they get a better chance of pulling the new unit. It was also just a piss take to everyone playing the game. Because if you don't know, the way I play the game, I do skip a lot of banners. I skipped Assault Melee, I skipped Wing King, I skipped many festivals, and I've now gotten the 6-6 because I pulled them on previous festival banners. But essentially meant if you skip the festival unit, you're never going to get that festival unit again unless you bought it with deep coins, which you couldn't get anymore because, well, you can only pull one festival on the banner, and that was the new one, which typically you're not going to get more than 6. But it also runs back to my A point, which is this banner here, which is basically to summon on this banner for 2 days only of each month to get those 3 new festivals that didn't have any guarantees or any pissies, and it was just a terrible update, man. Like, shocking update. I can't believe they even thought about doing it, man. And they did fix it, fair enough. And you know what? And now with these festivals, we're getting apparently more than 4, which is great. But you know what? They could have fixed it. They could have given us the old carrots, but also kept the 0.5 rate, which would have been great. But they didn't. But you know what? We'll take it because we saw what the worst was, and at least we don't have the worst right now. So yeah, lads, that was my top 10 worst updates of the year of last year for 2021. So let me know what you think the worst was. I think we can all agree the festival removal was just the worst thing they could have done, unless you're a whale. But even if you're a whale, I think no, there's no justifying it. It was one of the worst updates, or maybe Barn too. You might think Barn as well. But yeah, boys, thank you for watching, and yeah, let me know what you think, and yeah, peace.